So actually we are same human being, human brothers, sisters. You see, that kind of sort of feeding, oh, we are same human being. All of you, my brothers, sisters. Religious differences, racial differences, country differences, nationality differences, these are secondary. Basically, we are same human being. So I deliberately try to promote this sense of oneness of humanity. The reason all these conflicts which we created on the basis of secondary level of differences, nationality, races, and then, unfortunately, religious faith. So therefore, now time comes. I think the problem which we human beings created now quite enough. Now we must think how to reduce this. This is the responsibility of every human being. So these days, listen, when I wake up, about 3:30, I always I'd go to sleep about 6:30. So almost 9 hours sleep. In the morning, when I wake up, start some meditation, prayer. Often I feel, last 9 hours, I enjoy peaceful sleep. But during that period, how many people killed? How many people died dead due to starvation? Particularly children. So sometimes I, as an individual, nothing can be done. That sometimes little tear. So now I think the problem due to global warming and human population increased, and nature resources also sometimes showing now limitation. So on top of these problems, we created a lot of problems. Even theistic religion, these problems not created by God. So, pray to God. I often is telling people, seems like, you see, God created this problem, so please solve this problem. Bring peace on this planet. Then, if we have the opportunity meeting Buddha or Jesus Christ or Muhammad and so on, if we ask them, please bring peace on this planet, they may respond, who created violence? You. So therefore, it is our responsibility. So we create a lot of problem and pray to God is, I think, contradiction. Since we created this problem, we have the full responsibility to reduce this, eventually eliminate this man-made problem. I think through prayer, I think over 3,000 years, 2,000, 3,000 years, we always pray, but a lot of problems still we are facing. So therefore, now it is our responsibility. Now regarding human being on this planet, I usually telling generation of 20th century, including myself, and most of you, and Professor Samdorupchi also, we are generation of 20th century. So 20th century gone. Now we are now looking forward. After 10 years, I may go different place, or 15 years, like that. So now, generation of 20th century, you, these young people, young brothers, sisters, Now you have also the opportunity to see more peaceful world, happy world, and also you have the responsibility to create that kind of world, not through prayer, but through action. Now, in order to carry that kind of action which bring peace on this planet, happiness on this planet, firstly, you need inner peace. Without inner peace, impossible. Through anger, through jealousy, through extreme sense of competition, impossible to bring peace. So we must develop inner peace. Irrespective of the believer or non-believer, even any religious person, I think like Muslim. Okay, so therefore, firstly, we need pay more attention about our inner peace. Now I want to tell you, Buddha Shakyamuni. Is Indian, was Indian. Mahatma Gandhi, Indian. Of course, this individual personal, very important. But important is what cause produce such nice person. That's India's tradition. India's tradition, over 3,000 years, is paying much attention about our inner world, our emotion, and how to tackle our emotion. Because of that kind of cultural heritage, this country produced, I think, most great thinker, philosopher, and then real sort of people who really thinking seriously about this well-being of humanity. Firstly, well-being of himself, herself, then well-being of surrounding community. The inner peace is very important. Inner peace will not come through prayer, but the destroyer of inner peace is within ourselves. We should know what kind of emotion bring inner peace, what kind of emotion destroy our inner peace. Then tackle these different emotions. So for that reason, India, only this country, I think 1,000 years is a knowledge, quite full of sort of knowledge about human emotion, human mind. Then you see the method to tackle these emotions. Of course, I have a lot of friends, wonderful people in the West, and most scientists, you see, come from West, wonderful. But, you see, your sort of religious tradition, you see, the theistic religion, mainly theistic religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and so on. So they faith God or Muhammad, like that. Whereas this country, Sankya philosophy, over 3,000 years, I think over 3,000 years, Sankya philosophy. Within the Sankya philosopher, two groups. One believe creator, one no believe creator, but oneself as a creator. Then Jainism, also you see, no concept of creator. Then Buddha, also no concept of creator. So therefore, you see, these traditions, since this emphasis, responsibility on ourselves, so they more sort of description about our mind, about our emotion. With that, tradition of shamatha, tradition of vipassana, training of mind developed in this country. Whereas theistic religion mainly pray and some rituals. The non-theistic religious tradition, you see, involve how to transform our emotion. So therefore, the method transforming our emotion, that's shamatha, first level, mainly vipassana. So therefore, this country, I think over 3,000 years, because of that tradition, paying more attention about our mind, about our inner world. So accordingly, these practice there. So Buddha come. Of course, Buddha, I think, further developed these things with deeper, sophisticated philosophy, like philosophy, Paticca philosophy, and Shunyata. That's something unique, you see, only available in Buddhist teaching. Then, number of great saints in this country, as a result of practice, you see, training of mind, become great sort of spiritual practitioners, spiritual Buddha. I think we can say spiritual leader like that. Even today, I'm very, very keen, you see, to meet, to discuss some the sadhus who spent in the Himalayan mountains, mountain area, completely negative, negative way. Because no clothes. Because no. So they must have some sort of experience, you see, to keep warm. Some Tibetan practitioner also, you see, there is some tradition. During winter time, the coldest days, remain naked, or sometimes on ice. And on top of that, clothes, because we put in water, cold water, then wear. Then, after some minutes, you see that because of the clothes, which water, then because of lapadu, gas, vapors, no? Then dry. Then again you see another because of the clothes put, and then dry. One night, that kind of practice, that kind of sort of day, because of the test, like 10 times. I think the previous generation, that kind of practice there. But unfortunately, I never met anyone who have that practice. I heard. So therefore, since Tibetans or Himalayan range, nobody I met. So therefore now I'm very eager. Because the Hindu practitioner, sadhus, they may have these experiences. So these are something, you see, the indication. How can use? We have the ability, you see, to control our sort of blood circulation or breathings, these things through that way. Outside, so also the temperature, these not much differences. So these are this country's tradition. So now, at the point, peace of mind, we have to sort of know how to tackle our emotion. Here, ancient Indian psychology about emotion, about the mind, and how to tackle these things are highly developed. Previously, we considered these are part of religion. Now that is not necessary. these should consider part of education, and education for our health. So Rinpoche briefly mentioned, is in these days I am mentioning the hygiene of physical, usually we learn. So now similarly, we should have hygiene of emotion in our education field. So that, I think, your tradition, so it is really easy or relevant, introduced in education system in this country. So my sort of latest commitment is trying to revival of ancient Indian knowledge, mainly the knowledge about mind, emotion, that is psychology, ancient psychology, then logic, pramana, right? Pramana. In order to investigate, pramana is very essential. So whenever I, as a sort of student of these ancient Indian sort of tradition, whatever I heard something, even including Buddha's own sort of teaching, the immediate reaction is why? Why? That's very important. That's why you see Buddha himself is mentioned, "Oh my follower, bhikshus and scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." That's a very scientific. So some of his sort of followers, like Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti, those Narendra master, you see, they mentioned some Buddha's own teaching, some text. They reject. You cannot accept this teaching, Buddha's teaching, literally, because it goes against reason. So therefore, you see, I think India's tradition, you see, they use our sort of intelligence maximum way. For that reason, like Digna, great logician, and Dharmakirti, you see, they are writing still, or Sanskrit, I think available, still available. Oh, then these, we Tibetans, you see, study, you see, these texts about logic. I think we have over 300 volumes translated from ancient Indian literature, mainly through Sanskrit, and some through Pali, from Pali, and then about, I think, 300 volumes, out of 300 volumes, about 10 Chinese, 8 books translated from Chinese. Otherwise, all translated from India. So therefore, you see, these texts, originally, you see, translated from Sanskrit, mainly Sanskrit. Now time come, these may be necessarily translated from Tibetan into modern Hindi or English. Because these are very useful. I always describe ancient Indian knowledge is not only ancient knowledge, but very relevant to today's world. All these sort of, as I mentioned before, these sort of man-made problem is because of too much destructive emotion. They do not know how to tackle, how to bring inner peace. So therefore, irrespective of whether believer or non-believer, believe this religion or that religion, the knowledge about the psychology, knowledge about the logic, these are, we should consider academic subject, not religious subject. So now, I fully committed in order to the revival of these ancient Indian knowledge. mainly psychology and logic, these things, into modern India. Modern India, frankly speaking, there are a lot of material development, a lot of sort of technology and scientific sort of research, wonderful. But modern India, I think, very much sort of neglected about ancient Indian knowledge. I think, fortunate or unfortunate, we Tibetans, as a channel of Indian great teacher, we kept these. Is it fortunate or unfortunate? Unfortunate, because now Chela become much knowledgeable about these ancient Indian knowledge, which taught by Indian master, Indian teacher. So usually I describe ancient time, historically, you Indian, our guru, we are Chela. Now it seems Chela have better knowledge than guru. So therefore, now all these knowledge come from India, particularly 8th century. The Tibetan emperor, he himself was the son of one Chinese princess, I think. And the 7th century, the Tibetan emperor married with Chinese princess. But as far as spiritual is concerned, and also Tibetan script is concerned, all copy from India, not from Chinese, like that. So therefore, 8th century, Nalanda master Shanta Rakshita, invited by Tibetan emperor. In spite of his old age, he accepted that invitation. He introduced us the Nalanda tradition, mainly based on reasons, not faith, as I mentioned earlier. So therefore, because of these, or the knowledge, training, our mind, generally speaking, quite sharp. I just, since here is some my old friend here, so I want to share one sort of almost I think like a joke. Recent time I was in East India, Arunachal. So one politician from Delhi joined with me. So a few days he was always with with me. So one morning he asked me, "How is your sleep?" Then I answer, "Oh, very good sleep. I always 9 hours sleep." Then I told him, 9 hours sleep, then about 4 or 5 hours meditation. Through that way, sharpening my mind so that I can easily cheating other people. Then his answer is quite simple. He cannot sleep more than 6 hours, so he cannot cheat other people. Like that, through my own experience, you see, these Indian sort of, how should the teaching about this sort of analytical meditation, these things, very, very helpful. So now while we praising Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, I think basically we must now realize that 1,000-year-old India's tradition is really a great tradition which can produce a sort of marvelous human being. So this tradition is tradition of the country, not the individual person. So all you Indian, your tradition. So now with this tradition, more Mahatma Gandhi should produce, and more Buddha should produce by this country, because the same culture. In ancient time, this culture produced such a wonderful person. Now modern time, why not? I think now today, with modern education and scientific knowledge, I think modern Indian have better sort of facility to become, new Gandhiji. Gandhiji, the technology, he may not know. Now modern Indian, you see, can be Gandhi, like Gandhi, with full knowledge about modern technology or science, these things. So now you, Indian, firstly should develop self-confidence. I think during British sort of colonial rule and introduce modern education, modern technology, it could be some Indian mind is a little bit of the Western nation, Western, because of highly developed the technology, these things. So you may feel something little behind. Now you should think, as far as the sort of knowledge about inner world is concerned, India much developed. So now this country can combine modern education, modern technology, including science, and modern economy. This is very important for provide physical comfort. Plus, ancient Indian knowledge how to take care about our emotion, about our inner world. Only India had the opportunity to combine modern knowledge and ancient Indian knowledge. Modern knowledge provide us physical comfort. Ancient Indian knowledge provide us mental comfort. So this, I think you have the opportunity. Now, as I'm a student of Nalanda tradition and a student of ancient Indian tradition, so according to my own experience, last 30 years, I have serious discussion with modern scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, then neurobiology, then physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So through decades, I realized, knowledge which we have come from Nalanda tradition. And like psychology and some other sort of field, like quantum physics, our knowledge is much deeper and advanced than modern scientists. Rajaramana, I think you may know Rajaramana, late Rajaramana, as once he told me, one occasion in Delhi, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, over 2,000 years, that concept already developed in this country. He mentioned one Nagarjuna's writing, he saw, that concept there. So he, as an Indian, he feels very proud. So it is very true. When we discuss about quantum physics, our knowledge, according in ancient Indian sort of philosophers' viewpoint, much higher. And then psychology, sometimes maybe I feel too extreme. I'm mentioning, they compare ancient Indian psychology, Western psychology looks like kindergarten level. The Western psychology or modern psychology, you see, they do not know about chitta, When they say mind or consciousness, only referring the sensorial level. The shamatha, not sensorial level. Vipassana, certainly, mental level. So the knowledge is very limited about mind. In this country, you see, much because of the advanced knowledge, and then how to tackle, how to change our emotion. through training of mind. So, this traditionally come from spiritual field, but now, modern time, I think your constitution is secular based. According to Indian understanding, secular means respect to all religion and also respect to non-believer. That's great. One time, the Advani, of course, you see, since many years, we become very close friends. So one occasion, Advani told me, in ancient time, you see, those Indians was the masters of different school of thought. They criticize Charvaka. Charvaka, that's nihilist. But they refer Rishi, sage. So, criticize their view, but as a person who holds these views, refer kasada, sage, respect. So that thinking is today's world very relevant. About 7 billion human beings, 1 billion non-believer. These also human brothers, sisters. So they also need certain method in order to bring inner peace. Not talking about next life, not talking about nirvana or moksha. Simply this life, well-being of individual, then through that way, well-being of family, well-being of community, then finally well-being of 7 billion human beings. So you Indian, you have the potential to make certain contribution to humanity as a whole. But in order to make a contribution, firstly, introduce within the country through education. So that's I always tell people. So my my commitment is try to revival of ancient Indian knowledge, which we learned from Nalanda Master. Now this, not only just me, about I think several thousand monk students who spent I think at least 15-20 years serious study. Among them many Ladakhis, many Kasota, Himalayan range people, there are few thousand there. So this is, I think, the potential for revival of ancient Indian tradition in this country. Like that. We have some certain sort of, I'll say, with my friend, we have some serious discussion. Now, how to organize is firstly some kind of teachers training. Then, although we carry research work, how to introduce in modern education field about the secular ethics, secular way, I think more than 10 years, mainly the Emory University in America. They're very much involved now making drafting from kindergarten up to university level. So now we need use these material. Then also the Bombay Kasa Tata Institution also you see carry some sort of experiment work. So some good result there. So already there are people who really work in these things. Now we should further discuss and with more people. And I really hope now this year, already ending this year, now next year, I think we should, plan some sort of small group of people, some scholars, some psychologists, like that, some educationists, some serious discussion on how to introduce. Then some college or school, carry that sort of curriculum, will see what result after 1 year, 2, 3 years. Then result quite good. Then we can expand more school, more college. These are not something order, but further research. And then I usually describe Buddha Shakyamuni. One aspect of that person, founder of Buddhism. But one aspect of that person is great philosopher. The quantum physics he taught. So great philosopher and great scientist or thinker. He emphasizes reason, experiment is more important than faith. So from that aspect, I consider him as an ancient Indian scientist. Then, in his teaching, especially emphasis altruism, karuna, mahakaruna. So like that. So when we praising Buddha, not his sort of physical something unique, not that way, or something here. His teaching, really remarkable. So Gandhi, his appearances looks like an Indian beggar. Highly educated in the West, great lawyer, but his, you see, the dress and these things looks like Indian beggar. The knowledge, wonderful, wonderful. I think, some extent he combined modern knowledge plus ancient Indian knowledge. And I think one great thing is he implement, you see, this knowledge, self-discipline, and contentment, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. Wonderful. I think he totally opposes the partition. Long-sighted, isn't it? And then in that respect, I think Pandit Nehru had some mistake, I feel. So, I think at that time, Mahatma Gandhi, I think very much willing give Prime Ministership to Jinnah in order to keep unified India. Again, yes, but then it seems as if Pandit Nehru little bit disagreement, isn't it? So like that. So therefore, I think, frankly speaking, Mahatma Gandhi much more sort of in his way of thinking, much sort of influenced ancient Indian thought, ahimsa, these things. Then Panditji, of course, my personal sort of friend, a great friend, immense helpful to us. But his lifestyle more westernized. Isn't it? Like that. So therefore these are, of course now, when we sort of praising or thinking reminds Buddha, Gandhi, we must think rich tradition of this country. No matter we love Mahatma Gandhi, separately as a human being, we cannot become Mahatma Gandhi. But why? What cultural heritage, what education brought like him? Then we also have the opportunity and become like Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, thank you, that's all.